The gigantic space transport system Energia Buran, aimed at the zenith, embodies the pinnacle of our scientific and technical achievements. Let's recall some shots known to the whole world. They don't need comments. It is more important to recall that as a result of the confrontation, the forced parity of the NATO export control of the socialist country, all this gigantic automated system, to the last cog, to the last gram, has been developed, designed and manufactured at our enterprises, and at such a level that many hundreds of developments, technologies and materials fully correspond to the world level.
I've been watching for 50 years. Yes, it went well, powerfully.
This statin clot of scientific and technical discoveries and novelties would have remained sealed for a long time if, after the words energy, blizzard, another word would not have entered our lives: conversion. As a political program of the Soviet government, a program to use not only part of the capacity of defense enterprises, but also to widely introduce into the national economy many of the latest discoveries, technologies and materials developed, in particular, under the Buran program. Of course, one of the most important materials developed for the Buran and successfully withstood the harsh space test is TZMK, heat protective quartz material. About 36,000 tiles of this material were required for the thermal protection of the blizzard. This unique material is the result of intense scientific and technical developments of the Obninsk NPO Technologia together with Vienna. By the way, NPO Technologia has produced 30 items for Buran with a total weight of about 10 tons. The raw material for the production of TZMK, a material with such low thermal conductivity, is a super thin quartz fiber of an amorphous structure. Since school years, quartz has been synonymous with crystal in our minds. In the production of TZMK, crystalline quartz is a harmful impurity that reduces its resistance to high-temperature cyclic heating. TZMK was brought to life by the need to protect a reusable spacecraft from the destructive effects of plasma during atmospheric bypass. The heat-protective material must combine low weight, sufficient strength, resistance to high-temperature cyclic heating, the decisive factor of reusable use. For the first time in the USSR, the production of TZMK was established on the developed unique technological equipment in conditions of high production culture with strict technical control at all stages of production.
The very first tiles were made on this installation here. Quartz fiber was loaded, which was then obtained. Here, it was on these installations that tiles were made, which were then already lined with Bort 4 cars.
The combination of science and production at NPO Technologia made it possible to quickly translate scientific developments into a real release of TKMK and conduct its comprehensive tests even in space on a small-sized returnable model of the Buran analogues of the Bort 4 apparatus. The required mass of superfine fiber for a block of a certain size, after weighing, is loaded into a dispersant with distilled water and crushed into a length of no more than 12 millimeters. In a mold with vacuuming, a blank of a spatial structure is preformed. Strict control at all stages, certification of each unit, cleanliness comparable to pharmaceutical production is noticeable on the technological chain of production of TZMK. The necessary binding baking additives are diluted with distilled water and mixed in chemically neutral mixers. The finished suspension is poured into a mold, acquiring final dimensions taking into account shrinkage during firing. The parameters of the block after each operation are entered in the VVN. Before firing, the blocks are kept for 36 hours in a thermostat at a temperature of 300 degrees, after which they are grouped by weight for loading for firing. The most important operation is to be performed, firing at a strictly set temperature, which ensures the sintering of individual fibers among themselves and the fixing of a volumetric frame of a lightweight heat-protective material with the required density. The purpose of the TKMC for Buran predetermined the strict control to which each block is subjected, X-ray control in two planes, X-ray structural analysis for resistance to the formation of crystal shells, laboratory strength tests of samples from each batch of material and control by identifying the strength of each block, determination of thermal physical characteristics. The development of the NGO technology of industrial production volumes of heat protective materials coincided with the conversion, which allowed advertising on central television. Advertising of the material of the 21st century aroused great interest among specialists of various branches of our national economy. For example, in high-temperature technology, medical industry, automotive industry. Judging by the letters, many do not yet have a full understanding of all the qualities of the new material, but some are already betting heavily on TKMK. An interesting application was received from the ECNA Design Cooperative. The initiative engineers of this team have designed a mobile modular brick kiln. The 20-centimeter layer of the TZMK will replace the 1.5-meter brick arch of the kiln.
Constructive development is very much.
Should there be a sample?
The mat should be a sample.
The unique properties of TZMK will reduce the production cycle by half. The need for bricks is huge, and space material will serve people well. The extremely small coefficient of thermal expansion attracted the attention of developers of acutely directional antennas of the millimeter range. Using this property, as well as stability in space and time, TKMC is used in one case as a precession substrate, in the other as a focusing body of a radio lens for antennas operating in the submillimeter and millimeter ranges in television, radio relay systems, radio telescopes and spherical antennas for individual reception of space vision signals. Thus, in the intended areas of application, three signs of our time will naturally be embodied: technology, politics, and ideology. Who else 5 years ago, when even Western radio voices were jammed, could imagine on their balcony an individual antenna bought in our store for receiving Cosmovision? In an interview with a Central Television commentator, the chief designer of Buran, Gleb Evgenevich Latino, Latin Sky, revealing the possibilities of using TZMK, said,
"And there is one more direction. If we have touched upon the tiles, this is an exit to international cooperation." The contacts that took place with representatives of the Tozo company ended with the great interest of this company for the Hermes space plane they are creating in the future to receive and, in any case, to work out the feasibility of using the same heat protective tiles of our Soviet production for Hermes.
Целесообразность использования этих же теплозащитных плиток именно нашего советского производства для Гермеса.
The French spaceship and our secret material yesterday are real steps of new thinking and conversion.